Welcome, everyone, to this live radio variety show coming from this cosmic radio receptors of KCIW-LP 100.7 FM, located in today lovely sunny coastal Brookings in Oregon. My name is Dr. Gigi, and you are tuned into this week's edition of Doc and...
I'm suffering from jet lag. Jacques. This is Jacques, Dr. Gigi.
Thank you. My co-host is, as always, Jacques Wolf Kepner. How are you, Jacques Poo?
Oh, I'm fine, doctor. I'm feeling finer than a German minor. Hi, folks. Thanks for tuning in to our radio show, a variety show of sorts. It is Wednesday, May 8th, 2024. This is a live show. As mentioned before, we just got back from Germany, where we spent 18 days amongst the natives, and like every other Wednesday afternoon, between 4 and 5, you can expect an informative, fun hour of live on-the-air acrobatics.
Yes, you know we will start each week's show with a segment full of interesting topics, usually in the medical field, but this time we'll talk about our fantastic time in Germany.
And after the interesting Germany tidbits, I will introduce this week's guest for a creatively composed, colorfully cosmopolitan, consequentially cordial, charming conversation with coastal community celebrities like the two we have in the studio today.
Right, and we try to top off the hour with a fun time corner filled with quotes and
jokes. We got some good jokes today. Pretty good jokes. They're kind of wilderness themed, as you will find out why we're going to be talking wilderness. Because, you know, we have our guest today kind of go along that realm in that area. Okay, so today it's my cue right now to kick off the today's MD10, which was... as we promised, will be a stories from Germany, which I was just sharing some with the engineer, Tom Bozak, and Ray. And then, of course, I think somewhere back there, Ray Gary is back there, too.
Yeah.
I was blown away, Doctor. I think because it makes it simpler, more simple when you arrive in a foreign country that you've never been to. I've never been to Germany. And to be situated immediately amongst your family,
amongst the
ancestral family home in the southern Black Forest of Germany, incredibly beautiful. So much similar to Brookings and Crescent City, the beauty of the mountains.
Wherever we went, he said, this looks like Missouri.
No, it looked
this looks like Kentucky. Ooh, this looks like Brookings.
Yeah, on the way from Frankfurt, where we landed, to our 2.5-hour trip south to the Black Forest, where you grew up, it did remind me a lot of Missouri and Kentucky and Tennessee. But once we got to the Black Forest where you live, I have so much like Crescent City and Brookings, except one thing. There was zero litter. There was zero trash around the road. I know that's negative. Maybe I shouldn't be talking about that, but it was so noticeable that there was nothing. I was taking pictures of the street. Just to show there's not one cigarette butt, not one bottle, not one. It was incredible. And then we took a 5-mile hike up a mountain to a chateau winery. And we got there, and at the top of the mountain, there was a self-serve schnapps.
But you had to pay
You had to pay $1.
A euro.
It was a euro, which is the dollar for dollar, basically.
Yeah.
$1 for €1. And you had to pay, and you take this shot. That would last 14 seconds out here.
Yeah. Well, it did last. So, it is all on the honor system, and you pay your $1.50 or whatever, and then you open the little drawer or whatever. You take a little plastic cup out, which was there, and then you get your, I don't know.
It was 80 proof. It was pretty good.
And drink your schnapps, and then there were little swings there, and you could look over the wineries.
So beautiful.
It was.
We also
nice.
came across 200-year-old artifacts and statues in the middle of the forest where you'd be walking that were still there after 225 years.
Yeah, the crosses mostly.
Mainly crosses,
yeah.
Jesus kind of things or religious things. But I'm saying, my point is, they would have been long gone. They would have gone the first 14 days had they been left in the wilderness area here, or they would have been defamed, cracked, or vandalized of some sort. I think, again, negative. I'm sorry. I apologize. That was not the point of our trip. I would move to Germany tomorrow.
I know you would.
Mama, your mother was so sweet. Your 86-year-old mother. Incredibly sweet. talk like this. How
She does talk like this, yes, but she knows all the words pretty much.
She was a librarian there, so educated, well-educated gal. Had fun. Wolf, your brother.
My youngest brother, and
Rudy,
my second youngest brother came.
And so we saw the
We
Black
stayed
Forest.
with my oldest sister.
You also lived, your ancestral home is also only 20 minutes from Strasbourg, France. So we crossed the river and go into France and saw France and ate of the food. And I gained 12 pounds.
He did.
Now, I'm solid rock hard muscle right now, as it is.
Right, except for the additional.
There was another thing. There's a problem between, I forgot, it was the German beer issue. Okay, so the German beer is big bottles. Big bottles are draft, big mugs, steins, not little pint glasses. They were much bigger, and they averaged about $2 to $3 for
much cheaper.
incredibly old, beautiful, fresh beer from old distilleries and breweries. So that was incredibly, I haven't drank so much beer since I've been in college. What was your favorite part of the trip, honey?
Well, all of it, of course.
It was a fun trip.
I loved the walking. So what I really liked was the 1st of May, we were there, and every town basically has a May tree that they set up.
That's right, May Day.
So that is a long pine tree, I guess, that they cut off, but all the branches are gone except for the top part, and they set up in the middle of the towns and celebration. You drink beer, you drink wine, eat something or other.
It is a national holiday in Germany.
It's everywhere, and it was a Wednesday. Everybody hikes, so
It's National Hiking Day.
We hiked to the next village, Duisburg, who also had the May tree, and then in the evening we hiked back to Zunsweiler. That's my little town, and then we went to the so-called Pig Meadow or something, where there was another celebration, where you go after hiking and you drink beer and you eat a sausage.
Yeah.
And then the next day we took the train to Franconia, which is north of Bavaria, and we came by a gazillion villages.
Yeah.
They all had their little
May trees. Yeah, you see them. Every village in Germany has steeples, the churches, and right next to that, this time for one more month, they keep up the May Day tree, the May tree, which is the biggest thing in town. Gigi, those of you that know us, Gigi and I are pretty much vegetarians. We've been vegan for a long time, but this time we broke.
There's
so much meat there. It's like, okay, come on, eat another piece of swine. Well, okay. They do prepare it well.
Oh, it was so yummy. We went in Franconia. We went to a brewery and had schnitzel, not das Wiener Schnitzel. However, that was pork, like breaded pork or something.
Yeah.
And then shoulder.
But every morning for breakfast, your mother would bring out these sliced meats of all types of sliced meats. So we're thankful to be back eating vegetables. Again, kind of really, it feels so good. Last night's salad. We just got back when did we get back?
Monday.
Okay.
Monday night. Yeah.
We got back late on Monday night. That's right. So last night's dinner was like our favorite, but loved all the food that we were serving.
Yeah, and they're all prepared. We had trout from my friend. Everybody went out of their way to make it really fun. I saw so many things that I would have never seen, just living there. I mean, I've been to Strasbourg, but then to go to Ribeauvillé and see all the storks we have.
The storks, yeah, the wild storks. We saw, won't give away our guest yet, but we saw Frisbee golf. We saw the cages set up over there. Like, hey, look at on top of a castle top. It's like, by the way, you don't have to wear those unless you wish to. That's okay. You be whatever you're comfortable wearing these headphones or not. We had a proverbial ball. We had so much fun that it was hard really coming back.
It was really cool to see the ages. So, for example, in France, we went to Chateau Königsberg, which was already mentioned 1100 something rather.
It started in 1100.
That's what it was first mentioned, and then
And then then by 1245, and then they lost it.
And then it was burned down by the
sacked.
Swedish, and then it was rebuilt, and then it
snowed
was
on our way up there. And yet, when we got to the top of the mountain where the castle was, it was bright and sunny, and we walked around in t-shirts. Amazing weather.
The time differences, right? I mean, this was a 1,000-year-old thing. Not everything was 1,000-year-old, but we went to a building site that the building site was 1,000 years old, was destroyed and burned and rebuilt and then shot and whatnot. As a matter of fact, we went to, it was in Strasbourg where that one building had a big old...
Yep. It had a mortar. It had a mortar in the wall from the Second World War.
Yeah, it was still in there. They left it there.
Yeah. If I advise anybody, if you ever want to go to France or Germany, go in April and May because the tourists weren't there.
Oh, yeah.
It was really phenomenal that we were in these incredibly beautiful cathedrals and whatnot with virtually no one there. Thanks for Roland for getting us on one tour. We went up 350 stairs.
Yeah.
I am.
And the tour was given by the pastor of the church, which I didn't realize till it was over.
350 stairs into a cathedral that was started in 1250. And after I got up to the top, it was 350 stairs. I was 250 pounds of solid, rock-hard tan man muscle. Good God, I was nothing but. It was a lot of walking, a lot of fun, and really thank you, dear, for having me meet your family. They're really incredible people.
Of course.
Wolf and Katrina. Her brother, I took the namesake Wolf from. He's a good guy. Katrine and Kati, your bestie friend, and Mama, and just so many great memories. So thank you for that great time.
May I ask a question?
Yes, sure. You can.
What was the most unexpected thing you ran into?
That would be for you, since...
For me...
I bet you a lot of walking we did.
Yeah, well, I didn't expect to walk 10 miles a day. We averaged 10 miles a day, 10 to 12 miles a day. But there was stops along the way with schnapps. Not bad. They also serve beer with breakfast.
Well, that was on the flight down here.
Well, that too. But no, in Germany, they'll often serve a darker beer with breakfast, usually bratwurst or something. Wow. And then the biggest unexpected thing was just how radically different the customs are in the sense of, I mean, again, it seemed like I was in Mr. Clean City. What's the guy with the bald head on our commercial over?
Meister Pop. So we went, funny was when we were traveling to my sister in a train, he wanted to take his shoes off because we walked so much, so his feet kind of hurt. And I said, do not dare taking your shoes off. Oh, my God, I'll be so embarrassed.
Good.
Said,
I was
please don't
washed.
Promise. So anyway, we sat down, and this older couple sits right across the hall, and they both take their shoes off.
I mean, the total Germans.
Oh, my
yeah.
gosh. Yeah, they were the Germans. Oh, my gosh.
And after a few days, meeting her mother, it came around to a week after we arrived, and it's Sunday, and her mother knew my personality by then, and she says to Gigi in German, she says, listen, make sure tomorrow before we go to church, have him zip his lips, calm it down, don't point, and do not talk, because we're going to a very Lutheran, very, conservative church. We got into the church, and then suddenly there were two sermons going on, one by the preacher and one by her mother. Her mother was nonstop talking during the entire thing. I looked over and I went, like this to her. She got
slight exaggeration.
She was nonstop talking. It looks like she had acorns in her ears, so she thought she wasn't talking loud. It was like she was competing with the pastor. And yet I was the bad guy for, you make sure he does not talk tomorrow. Oh, my goodness gracious. Okay. Listen, where are we, Doc? We got to rock. We've got 45 minutes on this show already. Okay, let me get my glasses on here and figure out what we are doing. Okay, folks, thank you for sharing that. Thanks for asking the questions there. I want to give a little prologue reading of something I wrote and reflected upon prior to this meeting of wonderful people in the studio with us today that I first met a couple weeks ago. Had heard about them months ago, and finally got them to come into the KFUG studio, our sister community radio station in Crescent City, about 4 weeks ago.
Right.
and now we're up here at KCIW. The wild and rugged beauty of our southern coastal Oregon and NorCal communities has long captivated intrepid human spirits. Our collective areas do not whisper, but they rather roar out calls of adventure and the promise of connecting with the natural world around every gigantic tree, rocky beach haystack, or meandering crystal-clear river path. It is here in our region's very backyard, amongst this dreamlike beauty, that Gateway Education of the Wild Rivers Coast was born. It is a non-profit organization dedicated to empowering young people to explore, learn, and thrive in this magnificent natural landscape. The founders of this noble organization set out to create transformative experiences that would inspire a lifelong love of the outdoors, adventure, and ultimately self-improvement. With unique, immersive, hands-on programs that run the gamut of growing and harvesting food, selling it, summer camps, the thrill of disc golf, and the fun camaraderie of art making and theater, young explorers are given the tools and the inspiration to unlock their full potential and become agents of positive change in our community. As Gateway Education of the Wild Rivers Coast continues to grow, its impact can and will be seen for years to come in the transformed lives of the youth that it serves. Folks, it is local programs and community service groups like Gateway Education that Dr. Gigi and I love to hear about and then share the good news that they exhibit and promote. For it is these modern-day pioneers, really they are, in our community that makes our little corner of coastal magnificence so truly special. That's enough verbiage from me. Let's hear more about this extraordinary enterprise from two very good new friends that know it intimately and better than anybody else. Joining us today in the KCIW studios on the Doc and Jacques Radio Variety Show is Ron Cole, Executive Director and Founder of Gateway Education, and Vanessa Ortiz, BOD, Board of Directors member, Secretary, and Influencer. Welcome to you both.
Woo!
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah. Thanks, Doctor.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, good seeing you a month ago. We met, we had fun at KFUG.
That was fun.
Yeah, and right after that, we said, hey, come on up to KCIW. We gotta do this again. So here you are. Welcome again. All right, Doc, lead off some questions for us.
All right. The standard questions. First, Vanessa and Ron, where are you from?
Oh, I'm from Los Angeles, California.
Oh.
And I moved out to Del Norte County 9 years ago now. The day before I moved up from San Jose, California, I found out I was pregnant, and I never looked back. Started a new life, and am thrilled to be raising my child in such a beautiful.
9 years old now?
He just turned 8 years old.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
and yeah, I did have to go through the pregnancy, right?
Doctor.
No, yeah, it was about 9 years ago.
Yeah.
So I do kind of mark how long I've been out here with the birth of my son and that whole new life. And so it's been kind of a upward trend. I'm on this upward hike, it seems, from Los Angeles, the coast, and just keep riding up the coast.
Nice.
And have landed here where I have fallen in love intimately with the Smith River, and have found some balance, have found Gateway,
Yeah.
and I'm starting to find my community here,
Very nice.
which is a really wonderful feeling for me.
Yeah. This is a great community.
Vanessa, what's your son's name?
His name is Dylan.
Hey, Dylan.
Hey, Dylan.
What's
Hey,
going on,
Dylan.
Dylan?
What up,
Listen, why we're saying it, because at 5:01 after the show, 1 minute after the show, it's going to be put on the kciw.org website under past shows. You dial down to Doc and Jacques, and he can listen.
Oh,
Dylan, you
beautiful.
can listen to your mom here.
Shout out to my little boy.
Yeah. Ron,
Where are you from?
where are you from?
Originally, I came from Ukiah, California. I grew up on the Russian River, spent a lot of time fishing, riding my bike, doing all the things a normal kid does. And then went up to Humboldt State, after many years of trying to figure out, what do I want to do? I realized all I wanted to do was have fun. And it wasn't something my parents just kept asking me, what does that mean? And, when I started getting tired of answering, I started traveled around the world and had a great time. Travel is just about the best teacher I could ever have asked for. And by then, I finally figured out what I wanted to do, which was to have fun. So I went to Humboldt State and said, do you guys have a degree in fun or something along those lines? And this very astute professor and advisor said, tell me your story. What did you like doing when you were a kid? I said, I like making piñatas. He says, well, and what did you do with those? I said, well, when I started making piñatas, people started inviting me to birthday parties. And suddenly I was the piñata guy.
Oh, cool.
And so everywhere I would just make tons and tons and tons of piñatas. And then he said, what did you do in high school? And I said, well, I liked having parties. And
party.
So all these parties, I'd do these big commutes out to the coast. It's only an hour and a half, but there'd be a giant caravan of us carrying, and I'd have friends who were really good at building houses or bathrooms or organizing entertainment or making food. And it's like, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And it's like, yeah. And we'd have these wonderful weekend-long parties.
Oh,
and then in college, it was like, all the colleges I attempted, I would have ski trips, these massive ski trips, and we'd all be cruising, caravanning down the highways, 4 or 5 lanes, passing stuffed animals back and forth between the cars at 70 miles per hour, and getting giant cabins it was at this point I was learning how to charge and how to, what could we do to make this special? How many people does it take before it gets onerous and out of hand and unfun because everybody is breaking up into cliques? Or what is the smallest number of people that actually can, or the biggest number of people that can actually stick together in a group and move together as a group? That was fun for me.
Yeah.
And so I explained all this to him, and he says, all right, so what we're going to do is you're not going to do the whitewater rafting. You're not going to do the tournament organizing. I think what we're going to do is we're going to make you the slave of the theater and the music department. And you're going to put on all their events, all their festivals, all their scholarship benefit concerts. And then we'll see what you have to say after that. And I was like, yes, that sounds so much more fun than sitting in a classroom and just taking notes. And so after 2 years, I did my dissertation on fun. And I found
cool.
that if you provide people with shelter, basically, you provide their basic necessities, food, transportation, some sort of health care, the only thing left is fun. They have fun learning. They have fun absorbing, and their lives are changed, and they can make a choice as to whether they want to stay in the rut that they're in or maybe try this new thing.
Yeah.
That's me in a nutshell there.
Wow. We're sitting here in the studio looking at these 2 guests of ours. They have high vibes. They are bright moments amongst them. You should see the enthusiasm in your talk and your eyes and the way your mannerisms are here, folks. These truly are enlightened people. Let's get down to the nuts and bolts of the foundation, the gateway education of the Wild Rivers Coast. What is a mission statement? What is it all about, Ron?
Mission statement roughly is to guide people towards self-awareness through recreational, educational, and artistic means in nature. Essentially, we want to help them just answer the question, who am I? And there's no way, Jacques, I can go to you and say, this is who you are. I can't do that. All I can do is, well, all we can do is create a space, a container where you feel safe enough to actually be yourself. And maybe, and through the skills of moving absolutely silently through the woods, through the skill of teaching you how to hear sounds, and to know what they mean as opposed to think about what they mean. And lastly, how do we teach you how to shift your brain from the cognitive to the intuitive? And then, of course, we play these games that build each week on each other. And the better the deeper you go into yourself, the more successful you are at the games.
And you gain a sense of yourself. Maybe we don't always know who we are, but we can get a sense of it when we're in that container being held in that safety.
Now, is there an age limit?
No,
for people?
You can participate in gateway activities. So you're all kids.
Okay, that's true. Okay, I was
We're all
mistaken on my prologue there. I should have mentioned all ages, right? You're a board member, Vanessa?
Yeah.
And how long have you been involved with this group?
Is it 2 years? I'm on my third.
Wow.
So I'm on my third year. I just was reelected for another term. Our terms are 2 years. In fact, we are recruiting board members. And since we are here, I would like to extend the invitation. If anybody is interested out there and would like more information, please give us a call.
Where do they call?
You call Ron or I. Ron's number is 707-954-7666. And my phone number is 408-893-5546. And we are actively recruiting board members.
No,
You're based out of Crescent City.
yes.
Yes, we are.
And people always ask, well, what does it mean to be a board member? Well, it's 4, 5, 6 meetings a year. As a board member, you're expected to educate yourself. That means we will actually help you to learn how to be a better board member, how to answer the question, who am I? Because we need people to understand who they are so that they can share and create space so that others can do that too. And to keep me in line, because sometimes I want to grow faster than we can.
How long has it been around? When did you found?
So, Ron, you founded it
Yeah, in 2001.
in 2001.
And
so that's
we got
20.
our federal nonprofit status in 2012.
Nice.
And you survived COVID.
We thrived. during
Oh,
COVID.
that's right. You had a unique story about that. Suddenly,
In 2020, just about every nonprofit in Del Norte County, every church group, everybody was under the restrictions of COVID, unless you had an outdoor program. Then you could do something. And of course, all our programs, disc golf, survival, even theater, are outdoors. And so suddenly we found ourselves immersed in money, and we could do so many more things than we could before. And since that time, it is the snowball just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
it is a 501c3
It is.
entity. All right, good.
And is it only here in Del Norte, Curry counties, or do you go?
Interesting you should ask that. One of our summer camp counselors who was from the East Coast was driving over to California to be a counselor again.
Oh, wow.
And stopped somewhere in Montana after hitting a deer or something, and had to limp back to Maine. And he was very, very sad about it. He felt so bad, felt like he was really letting us down. And I said, don't worry about it. You don't have to come to California. Ben, you're very good at what you do. I told him a few stories, reminded him of some of the things that he had managed to do. One of the things that really struck me was that Ben has the capacity and the capability of making transitions between programs. You never want to say, and kids, our next program is, you want something to happen that makes it look like spontaneous interest, to make it look fun. And so he would start throwing a hacky sack to one of the kids, which is the beginning of one of the games. And the kid got involved, and my group of kids are over here. And I was like, hey, what's going on over there? And then we would go over there, and they would say that they were just inventing this game. And then, of course, we'd go right into this awareness development game called Steal the Fire. Steal the Fire is where you've already learned all the skills, right? So you take a big wad of keys, like they're all connected, put them on the ground. You sit one of the kids in front of the wad of keys, and you blindfold them. And you put all the other kids in a 20-foot circle around this one. And I will point to one of the kids, and they will try to fox walk in, steal the keys,
Stealth.
and then go back out.
Super stealth.
The child in the center, his job is to point out anybody who's trying to steal the keys. And if they're pointed at them, then, of course, they go to the edge of the circle. Now, by Wednesday, these kids are so good. You cannot, I'm sitting there watching, and I cannot hear them as they're walking towards the center, right?
Wow.
So how is it that this child in the middle suddenly is, even without hearing them, is starting to point them out?
Wow.
That's because they're starting to listen to that little voice.
Yeah.
Using their intuitive faculties.
We can all feel, I can feel your energy, Jacques. I can hear you. I can feel your energy, Dr. Gigi, and I can feel your energy, Vanessa.
Yeah.
And the kids have no garbage in the way.
Right.
They don't have all these life experiences that make them doubt themselves. They didn't have all this exposure to their parents saying, you can't do that.
Right.
That's not, we've all had that experience where you open up a cupboard and a cup falls out and somehow you're able to catch it, right?
Okay, wait a minute. I love it. I love it. I'm going to break. I want to break the rules. I don't care. I want to hear the end of this one, but we do have to stop right now because I want to tell you that you are tuned in to KCIW LP 100.7 FM in Brookings, Oregon, and thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of Doc and Jacques. Again, it's 100.1. You can find out more by going to KCIW.org. Okay, I cut that short because I'm into what you're saying, man.
Yeah.
So you're teaching these kids, it sounded like a lot of intuition is going in there for the first time. They don't have all this garbage and baggage in front of them. You're teaching more than just summer camp. You're teaching more than theater. You're teaching more than harvesting, growing, harvesting, and then selling.
Teaching self-awareness.
Frisbee golf. You're doing an immersive program that blows my mind. And it's like, wow. And when I heard this a month ago and I told her about it, I said, we got to get you on there and talk more about it.
Yeah, it's super interesting. And it's interesting, all these stories about any person who is there and they fall suit, right? They do it all. It's like when you see kids here, you say, well, he's a delinquent and she's wearing, we always find somebody who we think doesn't fit, but apparently they all fall into place and for seeing who they are and learning who they are, right? I mean, that's what it seems
how
like.
to create the space, the container.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to say we check in every morning with the kids, with our camp counselors, and we do a thank you circle, highs, lows, and thanks. And we're also pretty careful about who we invite into the circle. Mm-hmm. So if we have a planned surprise special guest during the week, we like to let the kids know. We let everyone know, including the kitchen staff. Everyone is on the same page. And everybody's aware of what's going on and who's going to be in the circle, because the most important thing is that everybody can be who they are, without any influence of the parents, being around and monitoring or creating filters. When we're around people that we admire or that we look up to, we have high expectations to meet. So when those things kind of get not stripped away, but we are now in a safe container where we kind of know that, it's okay to be myself, my quirky, funny, weirdo self, my contradictory self even. I know I'm not going to get called out on, not knowing how to spell something or whatever. This isn't the space for it. In fact, everyone there has chosen to be there. They call in on their own, without the influence of their parents, their siblings, their friends. They make that phone call and they make that choice. And when you make that choice, you want to be there, you want to be there. Everybody else wants to be there. And it creates an environment where we're not necessarily pumping out a lot of disciplinary action. They are just kind of self-contained, like, we want to be here. We want to learn what we're here to learn.
Okay.
We call it the Camp Core.
Okay, the Camp Core. What are the rules or non-rules? Tell me, you talked about that last month we met.
Everybody that goes to camp or any of the programs is interviewed. And at the interview, they're asked, they're told about the Camp Core. C is for choice. You always have a choice. You have a choice to participate in the programs or not to. All I ask is that Can you stay somewhere close by so we know that you're safe? And generally, there's agreement. You also have to make the choice to be in the program or not be in the program. That means within 24 hours, here's my business card. You call me without the influence of your parents, your siblings, or your friends, and you let me know whether you want to be at camp or not. Just about every 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 11-year-old I know has never had that option.
Yeah.
And I've had moments where they called up and said, you know, that camp thing, that was, it was really cool, but I don't think I'm ready for it. And of course, the parents were totally wanting to send them to camp. And, and they would ask me, why? What's going on? And I said, you need to talk to your child about this. So that's choice.
Yeah.
Right? O is for the one rule. There is only one rule.
One rule, yeah.
This is zero tolerance for creating an unsafe physical or emotional environment.
Yeah.
That means you can't make fun of Jacques' brilliantly white hair, and he can't make fun of that pendant you're wearing, right?
Yes.
Now, if he does make fun of that pendant, I would have to say, Jacques, we love you. But do you realize how you made Dr. Gigi feel less than? We love you, but we got to send you home for the rest of the week.
Wow.
With the understanding that you can come back to next week's camp, next month's camp, next year's camp, 5 years down the road, and learn that lesson of acceptance. It's not you that we have an issue with. You're great. You're unique. You're special. You're powerful. But it's what you said to demean Dr. Gigi over here.
And that's a zero tolerance.
Zero tolerance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Screw up once, I'm sorry. You
They're informed of this 3 times. Mm-hmm. Once at the interview, once on the launch sheet when they're informed of all the things that they need to bring to camp, and once on the first day of camp. And then they never hear that again. And they know this. And I tell them this, you guys are so smart. I know you guys, when you're in school, you get 6, 7, 8 warnings. There are no warnings at camp.
Mm-hmm.
We love you, but we got to let you go. You good with that? General agreement.
And that's the O for
That
one
is
rule.
the one rule.
Okay.
They have to understand. Oh my gosh, I had a parent once. He was kind of a surfer parent, and he says, "Dude, that is so cool. It's like the drunk driver who gets in an accident and he kills somebody, or maybe he dies. I don't remember, but whatever. But he comes back and nobody judges him." I said, "No, that's not it at all." And then I thought about it and say, "Oh yeah, you're right. There are real consequences to your actions.
Yeah.
You do come back, and when you do come back, there is no judgment, and that's one of the big things that is really important. No judgment."
Okay. R.
All right. R is for what Gateway Education, myself, anybody who's on the board considers to be the most important aspect of life.
It's relationship.
Because everything about how good or how crappy, can I use that word? Crappy?
Yeah, you sure can.
How crappy your life is totally based on how you maintain your relationships. I mean, do you change the oil in your car every 4,000 miles?
Yeah, pretty much. But
okay. Do you have lunch over your keyboard?
Yeah. No relationship.
How's that relationship with the keyboard, right?
One-sided.
Yeah.
I make all our lunches for her.
Do we tell our parents that we love them?
Yeah, we should tell
more often. Okay, so that is something you can hold in your hand and you say, "How's my relationship with my mom? Does she really know that I love her every day?"
Yeah.
Okay, I can work on that.
Yeah.
All right. My relationship with this chair I'm sitting in, everything has a relationship, and it can be objectively examined and determined whether it needs more love or it's okay.
So objectively, sorry, before we go to the E, objectively examined by whom or by what?
By yourself, because it is your own relationship to whatever it is.
Okay. So it's not like I watched you not say I love you to your mom, so that needs to change. You don't do that. So how do you influence that, or how do you make that known that maybe it's not okay to not have a relationship with a chair? I mean, how do you put that into a child's or into a person's mind?
That's a really good question, Dr. Gigi, because all I can do is tell the kids in the interview, if you want to learn how to survive, what are the things that you have to develop a healthy relationship with? They think about it.
Yeah.
And generally they say, "Oh, nature. Good. What else?" Myself. Okay, great. I don't have to tell them They can question
Yeah.
everything. I say examine everything, look at everything, question everything, question your relationship to everything,
Yeah.
and you can get an answer for yourself, all right?
All right. The E.
Of core.
Everything happens for a reason.
Amen.
If you go to camp, you're supposed to go to camp. You're supposed to be there. Listen, because by the time camp is over, we will be able to dump you off on top of a mountain, come back 3 days later, and you'll be fine. Because you know how to build shelter out of nothing. You know how to build fire out of nothing. You know how to eat, what not to eat. You'll have everything you need.
But you do have personnel watching over those kids and teaching them, right? I mean, you don't just drop them off and say, see you in 3 days.
No. No.
So,
But that is my
a little
promise. And I make sure that the skills that we're teaching them
Uh-huh.
can be used and are actually functional skills.
Yeah.
You literally can make fire from 2 sticks.
Mm-hmm.
You can build shelter. There's a sacred order to survival that is done each day in the order that it happens. The sacred order of survival is shelter first, water, fire, food. Why shelter? Because you can die without shelter in 3 hours if you have enough exposure.
Yeah.
Water, because you can die in 3 days without it. How long can you survive without food? 3 weeks. You're not much good after a week, but you can still survive.
Yeah.
All right. So we go through that order. By the end, they're fine. Now, survival, let's be honest about this. Survival is the bait. Everybody wants to have that ability to survive with nothing. But that's just the modality. What we really want to do is begin to introduce them to themselves.
Wow.
And it's that fun, and every day is a different location. We go to a different river every day so that they learn that wherever they're learning they can learn survival skills wherever they're going. It applies to the Chetco River, to the Smith River, to Rowdy Creek, to the Windchuck. Their skills can be used anywhere.
So tell me a tiny bit about how it is done. So you meet during the day from, let's say, 9 to 5, 9 to whatever. You have a time. You get dropped off. You go to a group that has some counselors or some people who are watching you and teaching you, and then next day the same thing in a different location, or
Right. So we meet at the Crescent City Library every morning at 7:50 a.m.
everybody, the whole group.
The whole group, counselors, Ron and I, parents are there, and we have a morning meeting.
Okay.
We have a check-in. We have a roll call.
Good.
To see who's shown up to camp. We wait a few minutes for anybody who's a bit late there, and then we all pack up the vans and leave at 8 o'clock to a destination that the campers are unaware of.
Yeah.
Parents are aware of.
You all go together as one.
We go in 2 to 3 separate camp vans where the vans are being driven by camp counselors. And we show up to one of the rivers that we just mentioned.
Yeah.
Then we're there. The kitchen staff is already there setting up, promptly for morning breakfast, snack, lunch, and anticipation for camp. And then that's when we gather into a circle and we check in. Everybody checks in. If anybody wants to share how they're doing and how they're coming in to camp, maybe they had a bad day, maybe they had a bad night previously. And we all have a check-in opportunity, and we have a gratitude opportunity to express our gratitude.
Yeah.
Some people are just grateful to see the sun that day. Yeah. And it's just a beautiful thing to just slow down and absorb that and then be like, wow, yeah, I am feeling grateful for that too. Like, I can relate to you. This is part of like community building with the children.
Yeah.
And then we go from there. We spend the day out there and we do our activities, and then we pack up the vans at 4 o'clock and we're back at the library where the parents are waiting at 5 o'clock.
And to answer your question earlier, which I didn't, you wanted to know roughly what the ratio of adults to youth.
Yeah.
We only take 18 at a time, and there are 2 counselors for every group of 6 kids.
Oh, wow.
It's very important.
Yeah.
We have 2 counselors because one might have to go to the bathroom, and 2, there are 2 forms of communication. You may understand what Vanessa is saying better than what you're hearing from me.
Right.
And because 2 to 6 is a lot of fun. That's
Yeah,
that's
that
1
is
to 3,
really-
and that's not including the kitchen staff and things like that. Very, very fun. And it really lends itself to mentorship. The kids don't feel like a number. Like, you're talking about 1 to 30 in a classroom.
Yeah.
That isn't that isn't teaching. That's management. That's
Right.
That's true.
Yeah, that's
And I've always felt like a good classroom would be like 1 to 3, 1 to 5 kids.
yeah.
Okay. Vanessa, what's your favorite part of working with Gateway Education, or is it a full immersive?
Oh my goodness.
All of it.
All of it. And I was just going to lead into one of my favorite quotes from, what is it? What's his name?
Marcus.
Zach? Marcus. Marcus Weir is the son of Eric Weir. And he just shared the most stunning piece I've ever, his experience of camp was like this. It was his turn to talk at the end of the camp.
Yeah.
We had just gone through 5 days of camp. We're on the 5th day, and everybody's feeling a little melancholy, right? Like, oh, we don't want to leave camp. And, we're opening it up like highs, lows, and thanks. And his thanks was like this. He's like, I have been to so many camps. And by the way, he is such a funny character. So he was always like, witty and fun and quick with like quick remarks and making everyone laugh, like explosive laughter. And when it was his turn to talk, he just made everyone slow down with him. He took everyone with him in this moment of truth, of this presence. His presence was like, just earth-shatteringly beautiful. And he goes, I've been to so many camps. My parents put me in all these camps. I've been to all of them, I promise. And then for him to say, this is the only camp that I've ever felt connected.
Yeah.
And he's looking at everyone, eye contact, like, you guys are my people.
Wow, cool.
And then saying, and to feel a sense of community. And, it's just kind of like, whoa. And everyone could just feel it. Everyone got silent and was like standing there with him, just like witnessing his experience. And I'm over here crying, right? I'm just like, oh God, this is great. And it just to see the transformation of like this person who wears a mask of, maybe not a mask, but yeah, we all wear a mask, right? Honestly, we have a mask at home, we have a mask at work, we have a mask at church, at the beach, maybe. So, right, we put on a different mask, and then for him to just take them all away, and you saw him, and it was like a gift. It was just like the gift of, wow, radical self-confidence, radical self-awareness, radical self-acceptance, and feeling safe. It was stunning.
Wow.
And I could just, that was like, wow, okay, I could come back for this.
Amen.
Was all
Yeah.
worth it.
All
Okay,
worth it.
we gotta return to the nuts and bolts, because I want to ask a couple of things. Are kids and teens from Brookings, for instance, are they welcome to these camps?
Oh, thank you for asking that. Yes. And they don't have to drive all the way to Crescent City every day. Because we're on the Winchuck, we're on the Chetco. We can meet you halfway. We can meet you, if we're on the Chetco, we can meet you at Azalea Park.
Yeah.
Pick up your kids there, on the days that we're going to be doing that.
Right on.
Some of our counselors are willing to coordinate rides as well. So if we had a camp counselor, if we happen to have one that's in Brookings, we can generate and coordinate a ride.
Okay, is this the high season for your camps beginning right now?
It is beginning
It is
right
about
now.
to.
We've
And
already
how long
had,
will this last? How long will these week-long?
through
Yeah.
July.
So they're week-long each.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it runs consecutively from now until late July?
Every other week.
Every other week, okay.
Mhm.
And how many people, how many kids, teens, young adults is it limited
18.
to?
18.
Okay. Approximately how much does it cost?
$475.
$475 for a week.
Mm-hmm.
And that includes breakfast and lunch and all the activities, right?
A massive on-the-spot made lunch and snacks in the early morning and snacks in the later afternoon before we bring you back.
And they're going to be exposed to you and Vanessa on a.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. So if that's the case, then it's worth.
Yeah.
That's priceless.
By the way, we are also looking for a cook, a camp cook, because our camp cook is not available right now. So if anybody out there has a cook and has a couple of friends, it pays pretty good. but our standards are pretty high. We like to have 80% organic, and we like it made on the spot on the river.
Yeah.
And we do provide all the equipment.
So you said it's not all kids or teens. There are also other age groups, or are they all in the same group? The 18 people
So
can be...
when we're doing, let's see, June 24th through the 28th is Survival Camp 1. Those are our 12 to
9 to 12-year-olds.
9 to 12-year-olds, right? And then July 6th through the 10th this year will be 13 to 18-year-olds.
That's a Saturday through a Wednesday.
Huh.
Not
Right.
normal.
Okay, and then we've got, let's see, was it?
Advanced camp. As she's looking for the dates, these are for kids who have
Coyote.
had 2 years of normal camp, standard camp, and have their skills down. And then it's an overnight.
Oh.
Cool.
So 2 years of you guys', of you all's.
Of the survival camp.
Okay,
Yeah.
The survival day camp.
Education.
Then we have Coyote Disc Golf Camp for beginners is August 5th through the 9th. That will include one travel day and a tournament.
Oh, cool.
How good are you? Are you good at?
I love disc
She's
golf.
very good.
Really, you're good.
She's placed in tournaments.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. It feels weird to go to tournaments when you don't practice, but you can actually get away with it because in the women's division because there aren't a lot of women that play. So
Wow. We saw you again out there at the Lua Lake Earl Wilderness area a month and a half ago when you were setting up. That was you.
Yeah,
He lives right
that
out-
was a fun tournament. That was an ice bowl tournament, which is a benefit for the homeless.
Cool.
And because it's only once a year, we can actually have it in a very beautiful, very off limits area.
Yeah.
and
You
then
took your yeah. Sorry.
oh, I'm sorry. And then I was just almost done with our calendar. We have Wild Harvest Adventure that starts on Saturday. The 24th is the Wild Harvest Adventure Orientation Business Meeting. And we take upwards of 9 to 12 kids.
Yeah.
Okay,
24th
so
of June
the 24th of August.
of August.
And
This
that's
is not-
that's
this
a
is not
10-week
camp.
program.
This is now
Correct.
harvesting.
That's the
foods
business project.
that have
Oh,
been grown.
It's a camp.
It's a camp.
It's a
Okay.
10-week
It's a
camp.
10-week camp.
But
And we-
they only meet once a day, and then they choose. The kids are given $1,000, and they choose what wild foods that they want to invest in. Last year's kids invested in apples. They invested in mushrooms. They invested in tuna. What was it? 2 years ago? Oh my gosh! It was a slightly different group of kids invested in the same things, and from that $1,000, they turned it into $8,000
Oh.
cash profit after they
Wow.
paid for all their expenses.
Wow.
They found a contract with Rural Human Services to provide cider for the homeless.
That was at
in
the very
16-ounce
end of
bottles.
That was at the very end of the
Frozen.
season.
Oh my gosh!
They
those
call
guys-
themselves the hardcore, and I just really want to make them some T-shirts. It's just like we have got to.
But they have to meet every week. They determine what their inventory is, what things they have to buy, who's going to be at the farmer's market that Saturday.
Okay, so they're selling themselves.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh,
That-
they are
so-
marketing.
So this is a whole nother facet of Gateway education.
Yeah, it's
Harvesting, selling what you've harvested and what you...
again, that's the modality.
Yeah.
But what I really want them to learn is to find out what it is that they're passionate about.
Yeah.
What, do they love going into the wilderness and finding wild mushrooms? Do they love marketing? Do they
Yeah.
love selling?
Oh.
Do
Do
they
they
love scheduling?
Do they love setting up the booth? These are
Yeah.
things, I mean,
So
these are the
cool.
things to figure out, whether you want to be a doctor or a radio personality, all these things. It's
Well, I
like-
wish you had that for like adults. I mean, that sounds really cool. I mean,
We've had a lot of
adult-
people
older
talk
adults.
about that. Yeah. We branched off with one of our veteran camp counselors. Her name is Jaya Hudson, and she started a parents and cubs camp, and kind
that's
of was
cool,
a
too.
kind of an immersion of
Yeah,
parents and younger children.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's cool. Too.
eventually.
Again, it's a modality. The training is to get the parents comfortable with getting dirty
Yeah.
because normally they don't want to get dirty.
Yeah.
And so taking your 5-year-old or your 4-year-old or your 3-year-old into the woods and then just playing with them gets you comfortable out there getting dirty and getting and exploring your relationship with nature.
Yeah. I got to say, the most real people we've interviewed, Vanessa Ortiz and Ron Cole, you're amazing two people that are putting forth an astounding and unique and wonderful and high, incredible intelligent but simple personal entity that you're putting out there to people, young people. I wish I had a counselor in college that would have said, hey, man, got to figure out your fun factor. I did it. You know, I went to Cal State Chico, right? I was like, it's like Humboldt. It was a cool place. So just to have that kind of happening behind you in your past, and then you exhibit it, you're two really cool people and really doing a service
Great
to our
program.
community.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It sounds like we could have another talk with you. I'm going to say within a few months, let's have you back on the studio again, because we haven't got to other factors that you're
Right.
dealing with and other things you do in the off season. And we just talked primarily about, your past and then the camp. We could talk about a lot more. And I think this area needs, the
More
Brookings area needs more outlets like what you are offering.
Definitely.
So the best way to contact you all is the phone numbers you gave us earlier, or should they look you up on Facebook, social media?
Facebook is being updated right now. I would say that the best way to reach us is text first, phone call second, and Facebook third, and then website last.
Okay. Ron Cole's direct number that you can text and then call is 707-954-7666. Vanessa Ortiz is 408-893-3546. So again, 707 for Ron, 954-7666. And Vanessa is 408-893.
5546.
5546. I'm sorry.
No
So
problem.
Vanessa is 408-893-5546. An incredible immersive program that's right here in our doorsteps in our regional area, our beautiful, incredible area, by very, very talented people. Two of you, thank you for coming on.
Yes, thank you. Super
Thanks for coming on to our show.
Thank you for having us, Jacques. Dr.
Yeah,
Gigi.
you are welcome. We'll do this again, period.
For the second part.
Yeah, we will catch up on the next. All right, thanks.
Love you, Brookings.
There we go. Brookings is cool.
Thanks,
All right,
guys.
Doc, what do we got the last few minutes here?
We have the fun time corner. Woohoo.
Oh, we got fun time
minutes.
where you say serious quotes and I go jokes. Okay, let's run through some stuff.
All right. First quote. You don't stop laughing when you grow older. You grow older when you stop laughing. George Bernard Shaw.
Well, not bad, not bad. Okay, Doc, what kind of flowers grow on your face?
I don't know.
Tulips.
Okay, I heard it before. I think they're so funny.
All right, what did the
Tulips.
limestone say to the geologist?
What?
Don't you take me for granted. Okay, what else you got?
The clearest way into the universe is through a forested wilderness.
It's through a forest of wilderness?
John Muir.
John Muir. He was a
Muir.
famous, okay, so
Muir.
it's a German in there. Wow, he wrote that 200 years ago, 150 years
150,
ago.
yeah.
Wow. What's Ray Gary in the booth? What's the biggest moth in the world? It's a mammoth. Mammoth? Okay.
That's a funny one. I like
All
it.
right.
I laugh.
Another one.
We need the tonic of wilderness. We can never have too much of nature.
By George.
Henry David Thoreau.
Okay. What did the Jedi say to the tree?
What?
May the forest be with you. May the
You had
forest.
funnier one.
I did. Why can't pine trees sow?
Why?
Because they're always losing their needles.
What kind of tree fits in your hand?
A palm tree. You like that one. Listen to her laugh. She's got the laugh. I mean, I'm her patient, you know. I used to go to her office and I'd hear that laughter. Okay, what holds the sun up in the sky, Doc?
What?
Sunbeams.
Ah.
Did I hear Ray Gary leave the studio?
Okay, so this is a German quote. Not quote, but a German saying. Don't play the offended liver sausage.
What is it? Don't play the offended liver sausage supposed to mean?
Means don't be a sore loser. In German would be spiel nicht die beleidigte Leberwurst.
She knows it at least. Yeah. How does the sun drink water?
How?
With sunglasses.
Oh, that's so cute.
Okay.
All right. Okay. It is time quickly for this end of the week's live radio variety show. You have been listening to Doc and Jacques on KCIWLP 100.7 FM in beautiful Brookings, Oregon. We hope you had fun and we wish you a happy day.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks to Tom and Ray, double Rays in the studio. Peace and love to all of you.
Thank you.